Hi, this is Liz Hitchens with Triathlete.com, and I'm joined here with Janae Shaw, who's the senior editor of Triathlete. We just had a really exciting race here at the Ironman World Championship 70.3. We'll start out by talking about the men's race. In the swim, Josh Amberger was first, Andy Potts was second, followed by the main contenders, but nobody really had a huge lead going onto the bike.
Yeah, it's surprising. Usually Andy Potts has this big gap on everyone, and Josh, is a great athlete, came out of the first out of the swim, even beating Andy, which was kind of a surprise for most people. And other fast swimmers like Tim O'Donnell were all right up in that pack, and it was interesting to not see Andy have that huge gap.
Now, once onto the bike, that trend kind of continued. The lead pack stuck together for the early miles of the bike.
Yeah, they were all really right up there, jockeying for the first position, and eventually Sebastian Kinley, who was the ultimate winner, really ended up drilling it and flew by Crowe. Crowe was even surprised at how fast he was turning over. And
he said after the race that in order to have any shot at the win, he really had to hammer on the bike. What do you think of that strategy?
Well, I think he proved it was at Galveston that he kind of had to do the same thing. I mean, his run ended up being a really great run, but I think he in his head was thinking, I gotta get ahead, I gotta play the game. And his bike split here was almost 3 minutes faster than Chris Lieto's last year, which just says a lot about how powerful his bike is.
Now, further back in the race, Michael Raylert was definitely in contention, but he got a drafting penalty. You think that took him out completely?
I think it's a huge part. I mean, I don't know. We can't tell with the drafting penalty how it happened or anything like that, but that's 4 minutes where you're just sitting in a tent, and 4 minutes in this kind of a race is too much to really make up with the amount of miles there are. So I think that really set him back.
All right, so Sebastian Kinley came into T2 with about a 3-minute lead, and right behind him was Crowe, Tim O'Donnell, Bevan Doherty, Greg Bennett, some of the faster runners.
Yeah, and Bevan Doherty had a really quick T2, and he has all that ITU experience that I think he could really draw in for that, and he whipped out a T2. And, those three runners were really kind of, again, jockeying for that second place position, and I think Bevan is a little bit of an unknown what he could do here because he has so much ITU and Olympic speed, but he did well in Panama in February, but it was tough to tell if he was really going to be able to use that speed not so long after the Olympics.
So we saw a lot of shuffling behind Sebastian, but Sebastian stayed pretty steady the whole way and never really gave up too much of his lead.
No, he really didn't. I mean, it was really between those three to kind of determine who's going to make the podium, and eventually, Tim O'Donnell said that halfway through the run, he really just started to fade a little bit, and he got it back the last lap, but I don't think it was enough to kind of bridge up to Crowe and Bevan, who are really just super tough and really competitive.
So Sebastian Kinley ultimately did take the win. He was very happy with that performance. Behind him was last year's winner, Craig Alexander. What did you think of Crowe's performance today?
It was still really tough. I think that he still had a better bike split than last year, and he's continued to improve his cycling, and he acknowledged that Sebastian is, he said, called him a beautiful cyclist, and he's used to having to kind of catch up to guys like Lieto. So I think that Sebastian was kind of the Lieto of this race and kind of put Crowe in a position to chase and have to drive it really hard.
So to recap, we had Sebastian Kinley taking the win, last year's champion Craig Alexander in second, Olympian Bevan Doherty in third, and then two Americans, Tim O'Donnell and Andy Potts, rounding out the top five. So Janae, what was your take on the top five? Was that who you would have expected?
I don't know much about Sebastian as an athlete, but I think that we'll all start paying a lot more attention to him now. And other than that, I think that all those top five players were definitely right up there in the possibilities. We have 4 people going to Kona and 1 Olympian, so it's a very impressive field.
Okay, well that's it for us from Henderson. It's really hot. I think we're going to go find some shade now.